the last transmission. The stars had stopped burning hours ago, or maybe it just looked that way from the crater where Captain Rourke lay half buried in dust. His armor was cracked, one arm limp, oxygen ticking down to its last breaths. He thought he was alone until he heard a voice, soft, melodic, alien. "Human, don't move! You'll make the bleeding worse." He raised his pistol on instinct. "Stay back," he rasped. The voice laughed, a sound like wind over glass. "If I wanted you dead, you wouldn't be breathing now. Put that primitive weapon down!" Rourke blinked against the ash, focusing on the figure moving closer. Silver skin, luminous eyes, slender frame wrapped in tattered battle robes. A Zephyrian. Enemy. He'd killed 3 of her kind today. He kept the pistol aimed. "You speak Terran fluently. Your soldiers broadcast your language over every open frequency," she said. "It was easy to learn." He smirked bitterly. "Yeah, we're loud like that." Silence stretched. The wind howled through the broken metal around them. Rourke lowered his arm, too tired to keep it steady. "What do you want?" "To survive," she said simply, "and maybe understand why your species refuses to die quietly." That made him laugh, dry, cracked, painful. "You and me both." Hours passed. They scavenged what they could from the wrecks. The Zephyrian, she called herself Lyra, found a cracked oxygen pod and spliced it into Rourke's suit. She worked with careful precision, hands trembling slightly each time she touched him. "You're lucky," she muttered. "The blast burned half your systems but left your vitals intact. Your kind is resilient, unnaturally so." Rourke grinned weakly. "We're too stupid to quit." Later, as the binary suns dipped below the jagged horizon, they sat by a flickering plasma torch for heat. Lyra's luminous eyes caught the light, reflecting it like tiny stars. "Your people destroyed half our fleet," she said quietly. "Your ships burned our colonies. Did that feel like victory?" Rourke looked down. "No, it felt like survival." "You spread like a plague," she whispered. "World after world, always reaching, never content," he sighed. "You ever watch a species crawl out of its own mud, starve, freeze, get wiped by plagues, bomb itself to the edge of extinction, and still keep trying? That's humanity. We don't conquer because we're evil. We conquer because stopping feels like dying." Lyra studied him for a long moment. "You sound proud of that." "Not proud," he said. "Just honest." A meteor streaked overhead, silent and beautiful. Lyra tilted her head. "On my world, we believed each falling light was a warrior's spirit returning to the void." "What do your people believe?" Rourke smiled faintly. "That we make wishes on them." "Wishes?" "Yeah, stupid, right? You see something dying across the sky and you ask it to make your life better." Lyra's expression softened. Maybe not so stupid. Time blurred. The ground trembled with distant detonations, the last echoes of orbital bombardment. Lyra's hands shook as she checked her scanner. "The atmosphere is deteriorating." "Radiation rising. No rescue ships in range." Rourke adjusted the comm. "Command won't hear me. They think I'm dead." "Perhaps you are," she said quietly. He gave her a crooked smile. "Not yet." When he collapsed hours later, Lyra caught him before his head hit the ground. She injected a vial of glowing serum into his neck. He jerked, eyes wide. "What the hell was that?" "Stabilizer," she said. "It will keep your heart from failing." "I had only 1 dose." He stared at her. "You gave it to me?" "Why?" She looked away. "Because I don't want to be the last voice you hear before you die." He reached out, touched her wrist. "You don't owe me that." "Perhaps not. But maybe it's time we stop counting who owes who." The next day, they found shelter in the wreck of a Zephyrian dropship half buried under ash. Lyra's energy blade was dim, its core cracked. She used it to cut through debris while Rourke rigged a makeshift beacon. "Even if it works," she said, "who will come?" "Someone," he said. "Humans don't leave their own behind." She raised an eyebrow. "Even after centuries of killing?" He nodded. "Especially then." She didn't answer, just stared out at the empty landscape. "Your species terrifies us. You rise too fast, adapt too easily. Every time we think we've beaten you, you come back harder." "That's what we do," Rourke said. "We fall, we get back up," Lyra whispered, "and someday you'll stand on our graves." "Maybe," he said softly. "Or maybe we'll build something together." As the hours crawled by, Lyra's strength waned. The serum she'd saved for herself was gone. Rourke tried to share his oxygen feed, but her physiology rejected it. Her breathing became shallow, her glow dimmed. "Don't waste your air," she murmured. "Shut up," he said roughly. "We're both getting out," she smiled faintly. "You still believe that?" "Always." She reached up, touched the cracked emblem on his chest plate. "Your people wear their dead on their armor. Names, numbers, insignia. You carry your grief like a weapon." Rourke's voice shook. "It's how we remember." "Then remember me," she whispered. He didn't realize she'd slipped away until the comm beacon flickered to life, finally catching a human frequency. "Echo 7, this is command. Do you copy?" He stared at Lyra's still form, then pressed the transmitter. "Copy." His voice was hoarse, broken. "This is Captain Rourke. Survivor of Kareth 9. Mission failed. Enemy casualties irrelevant. Found something more important. Say again, Echo 7. He took a shaky breath. "We're not alone out here. And they're not what we think." When they found him 2 days later, he was still sitting beside her, armor covered in dust, the human flag patched with a strip of Zephyrian fabric. He had recorded a message on his helmet cam. "This is for anyone still fighting out there. I met one of them, Lyra. She saved me when she didn't have to. Maybe the universe isn't about who wins. Maybe it's about who chooses mercy when they could have chosen hate. Humanity's strength isn't in our weapons. It's in what we do after the war ends. We're not monsters." Not if we remember what she did. The recording ended with him placing a small human medal in her hands before the storm swallowed their bodies. Later, when the retrieval team uploaded the data, that final transmission spread across fleets and colonies. Soldiers on both sides listened in silence. Some called it weakness, others called it truth, and somewhere, among the stars still burning, the story of a human and an alien girl became legend, a reminder that even in endless war, humanity's greatest power was not destruction, but defiance. The kind that chooses compassion in the face of extinction, because humans, as always, refuse to die quietly.